the straw that broke the camel's back was 2022 when we weaponized this dollar. And so what are they doing? Not even, as you know, India has a very different worldview and very different foreign policy than Russia and China. They're not all monolithic thinkers. And Brazil is not India, and the rupee is not the real. And so, of course, there are different perspectives, different concerns, but what all of these countries in the BRICS plus others, what they all have in common is they trust gold. And they have a certain skepticism about U.S. policy, especially now. So what gold is, what they're doing with the BRICS isn't saying, okay, we're going to get together, we're going to sacrifice our regional currencies, we're going to tie everything, rupee, real, yuan, ruble to gold. It's going to be redeemable only out of Moscow, and we're going to trust Russia if we need to redeem our BRICS currency into gold, etc. That's not what they're saying. If you look carefully, what the BRICS are doing with Enbridge and other ideas in South Africa and Kazan, they're doing what their finance ministers have been talking about for years. They want basically regional currencies, but trade settlements in gold with real assets and gold tied to local currencies. In other words, we want to have gold a part of how we settle trades among ourselves, not be tied to one gold-backed BRICS currency, which is actually very, very flexible, very brilliant, and very scalable, especially if they have the contingent reserve arrangements, basically their version of the World Bank and the IMF. And they're creating a smaller system of what the West has been creating for years. And they trust gold as a trade settlement currency, not as a backed currency. And I think that gives them more flexibility. And I think the BRICS are doing, again, what I would do. What the arrogance of the West and the U.S. is, no, they can't. We have built this Maginot line of dollar and the SWIFT system, and we have created transfer systems that the world is dependent on. We are the world reserve currency. Debts are owed in our name. We are still holding the majority of FX reserve transactions. We are the Maginot Line. And if anyone knows history and knows France, the Maginot Line was built between World War I and World War II to protect France from the Huns. And they built this, and I've been there many times with my kids, they built this extraordinary network of forts. And it was understandably defensive and traumatized by World War I. But what did the Germans do when they hit the Maginot Line? They just went around it in the Ardennes. And I'm saying what the BRICS are doing is they're not trying to defeat the dollar. They're not trying to ruin the dollar. They're not even trying to replace the dollar. They're just going around it by creating their own gold-backed trade reserve currencies, by repatriating their own gold inside their own borders, many of whom don't report gold honestly to World Gold Council. So I think Russia has probably a lot more gold, and China a lot more gold than is reported. And I would argue China has more gold than the U.S. But they're repatriating their gold. They're net settling outside of the U.S. dollar in gold transactions. And, there are now 45 countries trading outside of the U.S. dollar, which only happened because 2022 finally pushed them too far. Because not only was America so arrogant to be in debt up to its knees, ears, and then forehead, and still say it's the world reserve currency, do what we say. Oh, and by the way, if you don't play along, we're going to freeze your assets. I think that was like, okay, China and Russia got together with the other BRICS and says, we've got to think 20 years ahead, not 20 minutes now. These are the plans, and this is the tipping point. And again, it doesn't mean the end of the world reserve currency or the end of the dollar. It means a repricing and a re-examination of the dollar. And it also, to me, suggests that, trust in America really felt there.